What's up, everyone, and welcome back to That Amazon Ads podcast, where we are continuing our deep dive into Amazon-sponsored product reports, although deep dive might not be. It's really a bit of a shallow dive if we're considering what we could be doing, but a middle in-between dive.
Quick overview.
6 feet deep side of the pool. So if you're over 6 feet tall like Andrew, it's not that deep, but if you're like me, it's kind of deep.
It's like a bird's eye view, but just like a low flying bird, not like a eagle, not like an eagle or something.
Bird, yeah. Next week we will be going very deep though. So we'll kind of come back to what we're talking about today, as well as what we're talking about next week. But to kick things off, Andrew, we're doing a couple exciting things. People may have noticed your background changing a little bit. Those who are watching the visuals, why is that? Why has your whole office been rearranged? And
yeah, we had a lot going on here in Nashville at the That Amazon Ads podcast studio. We were shooting some content, moving some stuff around. I know on the last episode we were talking, I had this big black curtain kind of blocking everything behind me, so you couldn't really see what we were doing. But I think you put up some teasers, some behind the scenes footage.
Well, I think we also said it on the last episode.
Oh, we did
2 episodes ago. Yeah,
we did. Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, we don't got to tease it so much then. But basically, yeah, we were shooting the masterclass, getting that all put together, pieced together for everybody, and super excited to bring that to everybody. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's what we were up to. But yeah, I think not as good as it was, but
yeah, I think in the first maybe 10 episodes or so, we were teasing, should we do the masterclass and all this kind of stuff? And full disclosure, guys, we have been working on the masterclass since January, really kind of since last year. We had the idea of doing this in 2022, and we never really got around to doing it. So in January of 2023, we had our New Year's resolution of getting the masterclass done this year. So spent over 100 hours just putting time into it, and we're still not done with it. But it's been a lot of time just planning, scripting, putting all the content together, culminated with me flying out to Nashville to record in person with Andrew. We invested tens of thousands of dollars into cameras and lighting equipment, and we're going to be having a website, and podcast editor is going to be editing this whole thing. So just a lot of time, attention went into this whole thing, money and blood, sweat, and tears. So the goal is to deliver what we hope to be the single best piece of Amazon PPC educational content from both a content quality perspective, but also a production quality perspective, complete with screen shares, drawing on the whiteboard, some illustrations. So it's all really good. And I don't know when it'll be done. It'll probably take us a couple months to piece it all together and edit it. But very excited to get that over to you guys.
Yeah, our piece is done though. Like that feels good, man. Just to have that off our plate, that's done. Now it's just production, or not even production. It's just editing and distribution from there. So yeah, let's get it out there to people. I'm excited.
Yeah, post-production, I think they call it in the biz.
Post-production. Yeah, there we go.
And then one final announcement: the Discord that we talked about launching at 500 subscribers is now live. Because our YouTube subscriber count is at, drumroll please, we are at 480 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you everybody for helping us get there. We are so confident of getting to 500 that we released the Discord this week. So by the time this podcast airs, it will have been out for a couple of weeks, the Discord, but we just launched it this last Sunday, and it's been really cool seeing people come in. We've already got 100 members in there from all over the globe. And it's been fantastic just connecting with people, engaging. I didn't actually realize how much fun it was going to be and just how much value I was going to get out of it. But just hanging out with people, some really bright people in there too. People just sharing learnings. At time of recording this episode, we are coming down towards the close of Prime Day 2. It's a Wednesday afternoon. And not Prime Day, Prime Big Double Deals Dizzle Day.
And that's what we're calling it.
Yeah. Andrew called it PB Double Dizzle. So
PB Double DZ.
It has been so phenomenal to, in real time, just get feedback on performance. Just like jump in there, hey guys, how's Prime Day going? People posting different results, seeing what's going on. It's way more active and chat-based, way more fun and engaging than something like LinkedIn, where you might make a post and like nobody sees it. It just kind of gets buried, or you don't get feedback until like 1 week later someone comments. And this time it's real time chatting and hanging out with people, throwing around crazy ideas. And that all brings us to the topic of one interesting topic that came up in the Discord, which was that of day parting. And especially with Amazon recently adding the ability to add day parting to your campaign settings, or day scheduling, rule day scheduling, I forget what they call it, which is essentially, Andrew, how would you define day parting?
Yeah, it basically just allows you to bid differently across different times of the day based on the performance that you're seeing on those campaigns. So this would allow you to increase bids on certain hours of the day where you see heightened, conversion rates or heightened traffic, and decrease your bids in times where maybe you don't see that same elevated conversion rate. So it allows you to be a little bit more precise and efficient with some of your spending. And this can be super valuable for particular accounts, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Yep. Just one more lever for us to pull in terms of driving the most efficient spend as possible in order to maximize our sales within our target ACoS. So we will be talking about that next week. That's the topic of next week. With this advent, we already started putting together some strategies ourselves, running some tests with some client accounts. We're seeing a lot of interesting conversations around this in our Discord, and you all should join so you can jump in on that. But the topic of today is going to be how to use the campaign reports within the Amazon Ads console. And so why don't we switch tracks here and let's start diving into what these campaign reports are and how best to utilize them.
All right. So the campaign report, this report is probably one of my favorites. They're all pretty great for their own purposes, but this one is super unique in a lot of different ways. But let's first talk about what can you expect to find from the campaign report? What can you expect to benefit from, or what kind of data is in there? Really, the campaign report is basically just going to give you your campaign data over a period of time, campaign level data. So basically, if you were to, look at your ad console, you'd see all your campaigns and all the data associated with it. It's going to look something very similar to that. So the very unique thing, though, about the campaign report that it makes it better in a lot of ways than others is strictly the date range and the flexibility that you have with this report. Like all those other Amazon reports are pretty limited with how long you can actually look at the data. The different time units that are available to you typically is pretty limited. You're usually only able to look at summary data or potentially daily data in some reports. But the campaign report allows you much greater flexibility, being able to set different time units. You can look at a summary report where you're looking at the total data for that particular set of campaigns or your total campaigns. You can look at the total performance across a date range. You can look at hourly data, which is a relatively new feature, and that's going to tie directly into that day parting episode you were talking about. You can look at daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, going all the way back almost 5.5 years on every single one of those except for the hourly report. The hourly report is unique in that it only allows you to look at 14 days of data at a time. You can extend that back. I don't know exactly off the top of my head how far back it goes, but you're pretty much just looking at a 14-day time unit and getting that hourly data across a 2-week span. So
goes back up to 1 month. 1 month.
1 month. Okay.
Or about
so
1
month.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's super important and impactful. Just having the ability to export all of your data in a, like that daily, weekly, monthly fashion allows you to manipulate that data and create really cool charts and reporting without having to spend a lot of time trying to format your data. Amazon gives it to you in a way where you can very quickly just pivot it out and see exactly how you're performing over time in different groupings and segmentations. So sometimes you like to look at weekly changes. Some people like that. Some people want to be able to break it down to that very day and see the changes in daily performance. Each one has, different use cases for different, insights that you're trying to gather from there. But yeah, Stephen, what do you got to say about the campaign report?
The main benefit that I've used this for is just downloading data that is beyond what you can get directly from the UI, the Amazon actual ad console interface. So for example, if I want to see the last 30 days, so right now it's October. If I wanted to look at September's data and see how my campaigns are doing and everything, it's pretty easy within Amazon. And let me just actually double check. Yeah, there is that export button. So I could easily just switch my date range to last month and then export that whole table to see all my campaign spend, sales in total, whatever, and have that accessible. But if I want to see how December did, we did last December, as we start approaching this December, maybe I'd really love to see going from November to December, how did the conversion rates change? And as of right now, in order to do that, what I'd have to do is I'd have to go to a lifetime view within the ad console. I can't, because I can only do year to date, and then the next step is lifetime. I can't look at the past 12 months. So I have to go to lifetime view. And if you have an account that's had a long lifetime, that chart's going to get very just long / squashed. I'm not sure which one it is. It's getting simultaneously really long and really squashed your individual data points. And then because there's no conversion rate in the ad console, you would then have to go to November, or you hover over, switch the settings to clicks and orders. Those are the two charts you want to be tracking the trends on. You have to hover your mouse over November 2022. You can't copy paste the clicks or orders there. You have to manually write these down on like another sheet of paper or something. And I know this because I've done this many, many times. But you have to take mental note of what that number was and then go write it down, and then hover over December, write down the total clicks, total orders there, and then run to your calculator, calculate the conversion rate for November, calculate the conversion rate for December. And now you know what the month over month change for conversion rate was. With these campaign reports, you can just download November's data, just put it down onto a bulk sheet, just sum it up, calculate conversion rate.
Okay. Now be honest. If you're listening to this, if you have done that, if you've had to do that, drop one in here, drop a comment and let us know, because you're not alone. We've all had those manual things we've done to get to a result that we could have got to way faster had we just known how to use this one report. So
I'm gonna continue on that rant for a second, because this literally happened within this month. I took over a new account, and I was trying to piece together kind of the last 2 years of performance to kind of analyze some trends. And the way in which I had to do it was literally manually hovering over each of those months from previous data points, pulling the impressions, pulling the clicks, pulling the orders, the spend, and the sales. And then after I have those, I consider those kind of the 5 key kind of golden metrics: impressions, clicks, orders, spend, sales. From there, you can basically calculate your ACoS, whatever, CPCs. But I had to do it that way because even with these even with these sponsored ad reports, when you download it, it's still going to be just the sponsored products campaigns. You have to, I'm pretty sure sponsored brands does have the campaign and sponsored display. So you would have to download 3 separate ones.
So caveat, I'll just want to make sure to call this out. You only have this date range flexibility and length with sponsored products. It's much more limited. We would have to look and see exactly what it is, but it's much more limited on sponsored brands and sponsored display. So you wouldn't even be able to go back as far to get your total performance data.
Yep. Yeah, for sponsored brands, if you wanted to get the campaign data, they're not going to give you the same levels of those breakouts between quarterly, monthly, weekly, which having that monthly breakout's so nice. So you don't have to if you just have daily data, you then have to aggregate all the days into a month, and it's a extra work. And then, but for sponsored brands, you only have kind of the total performance, or you can get it broken out to a kind of a daily level if you want to see the individual campaigns across the days. But that report doesn't go back very far, does it? That one is only letting me go back to July 14th, which how long ago was July 14? 89 days. So
there you have it.
So point being, it's very helpful for pulling in some insights around if you want to look at how conversion rates changed for your sponsored products from November to December. Absolutely use this. For me, when I was trying to compile my new clients' total account performance, there was no report that allowed me to pull in the total performance, only sponsored products. So I had to do the grunt work method of just notepad and pen, write down the number of impressions, clicks, orders.
Hey, do whatever it takes, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's important to lay out some of the limitations of this report too. It's not always going to be exactly what you need. I think it's important to have some sort of data warehouse solution, which we've talked about plenty of times, but just to prevent you from losing any valuable data that you can, reference in situations like this. And sometimes you're put in a scenario where you can't use a data warehouse third-party tool that already has all the data in there. So this is kind of your next best alternative, your next best route. That's going to give you a pretty good look at performance over time. And at least on your sponsored products, you can get pretty far back. But I will also say this report is super flexible, because depending on how you do all your campaign naming, your campaign structure, you can basically take this report and turn it into something much bigger and much deeper with some simple formulas, and pull out your ASINs. You could get your product level data on a monthly level for the last several years if you have had that structure set up and running in place with single product campaigns and stuff like that. So you can take this report and build upon it, pull out category names, pull out ASINs, pull out all the different identifiers that you have within your campaign naming. And that allows this report to become much more robust and customizable. And you can create a lot more different variants and variations and views of this report with just the right campaign naming structure and conventions. So that's why we started, harping on that so early in the episodes. But that's an important thing to caveat as well. This report is super flexible if you have that done right.
Yep. That is an excellent point, Andrew. So for example, if your client was saying, hey, how much did we spend on this product last year or this product line? And, maybe the product that you're selling is, say, creatine for toddlers. And so you're trying to see how much.
Don't do that again. Don't you do that to me. Don't do it.
Those types of supplements. What, you don't think toddlers are using those supplements?
I know they're not.
Whatever the keyword or product line you're trying to do is, if you have, Andrew, if you've been using Andrew's campaign naming, what's called structure sheet?
Campaign naming generator. That's all.
Generator. There it is. That's the word I was looking for. If you're using Andrew's campaign naming generator, which he follow him on LinkedIn to get that, then it should be very easy for you to, because the advertised product report doesn't go back that far. So, on a last episode or a couple episodes ago, we talked about the advertised product report. You can pivot table all your ASINs to see how much you've spent on one ASIN or a group of ASINs. You're not going to be able to do that for last December after it's 60 days past September. So you're not going to, 60 days past December, you're not going to be able to do that. But if you had named all your campaigns cleanly, so that within the campaign names, you knew exactly which product or which product group or what group of products were within each campaign, like Andrew said, it'd be very easy to just download this campaign report, figure out all that spend towards that certain product or product group, and report on it. So absolutely essential there as well.
Yeah, another example would just be like your tactical breakouts. If you're segmenting based on brand, non-brand, competitor targeting, like all that type of stuff. If you have it set up correctly, negations done correctly, all that type of stuff, you can basically break this report out into all different kinds of layers. So yeah, it's pretty awesome, man. That's why it's one of my favorites.
Yep. That's another good case study example, because the UI itself will not let you go back that far to even look at which campaign was the top spender in last December. Mm-hmm. It'll let you see the longest date range is year to date, and then it jumps to lifetime. So if you ever wanted to see just Q4 of last year, which campaign you spent the most on, or what your non-brand versus branded keyword kind of split was, you won't be able to see any of that, because the keyword targeting reports don't go back that far. The search term reports don't go back that far. But if you structured your campaigns well and named them well, you've got it all here in the campaign report for sponsored products. But that'll get you most of the way there, especially if you're just trying to look directionally, like what was the spend split percentage wise, not, go ahead. Andrew.
100%. Yeah. No, I wasn't going to say anything further. That was a good point. Yeah. So the only other thing that I had on this one, in particular,
you just said you weren't going to say anything else. And then you
did. Well, nothing on that topic. Nothing on that topic in particular. Gotcha. In terms of the flexibility of the report itself. The one unique feature, it's a relatively new feature, backstory, Amazon recently added the ability to look at multiple countries' performance data inside the console. So you can look at, if you're a vendor or seller on the US, Canada, Mexico, you could look at all of your ad data grouped in one console. Well, they also added that functionality on the back end to the reporting console, where you can select the campaign level data for multiple countries and pull all that data together all at once. Another benefit to this is that it does the currency conversion for you. Now that is super helpful if you're working in a specific currency. It has a lot of different options, but basically allowing you to convert your Canadian dollars into US dollars so you can see that in a currency that is familiar and you can interpret a little bit better. Now, obviously, your metrics are still going to be pretty close to the same in terms of everything, but your sales and spend and everything like that would be in USD. So that's always super helpful. I personally like to do that. We have third-party tools that typically will do the conversions for us and everything. But if you don't have access to that, you can utilize this. And also, if you need to get it in native currency, you can, not select the currency conversion. So little flexibility there, allowing you to pull all the different metrics and all the campaign data from all your countries, as well as giving you that currency conversion functionality. Super nice.
Yeah. Very cool indeed to have all of that. So Andrew, let's now switch tracks one more time and let's dive into a little bit more about how people can actually use these reports to enhance their advertising. Well, as we were kind of just trying to explain what these reports were, we kind of got ahead of ourselves and started explaining some use cases for how to use these reports. So I think we actually mostly covered that topic. And in the interest of keeping these episodes to 20 minutes or shorter, we will probably just wrap it because I think we covered it. So
I think we're good.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time. Just kidding. We could probably add a couple more thoughts. Let's try to make these episodes longer. I'm kidding. But I do want to talk more specifically around day parting. And then that's kind of, I think, the last thought that I have on this whole topic. So when it comes to day parting, and there's kind of two ways in which you can look at it. Day parting traditionally means parting the actual day, like the hours of the day. I think some people say they think day parting is going by day of week, and that if you're going with intraday, like with changing within a day, they call that hourly parting. But I was just asking ChatGPT about this to see if I was crazy, and he said, yes, I call him a he, that
Chat knows all.
Chad GPT is what I call him. Chad said that the day parting usually refers to the division of a single day into different time segments based on hours of the day. The concept can be extended to include days of week, but that is known as day of week parting or weekly parting. So point being, just to help clarify, if anyone's confused about what hourly parting is, hourly parting would be breaking the hours into minutes, which we don't need to go that far with Amazon. But when we talk about day parting, and people can kind of use that as a catch-all for both hourly parting and day of week parting, doesn't really make a big difference. But what these reports are going to let you do is you can download your daily data and you can download your hourly data and you can run a ton of analysis on it, which this will be the topic of next week's episode. We will actually start doing some screen sharing again and showing you guys how you can build these reports and build some nice visuals and charts and graphs and all that stuff to find, are there any opportunities for you where you are either perhaps overspending during a time of day or a day of the week where conversion rates are just really low and it doesn't make sense and your ACoS is going through the roof. Or perhaps there are other periods of time, whether it's you're using your hourly data that you downloaded for the last 2 weeks, or you're using daily data going back the past 5 years. You can aggregate either one of those reports and start pulling in some insights around when you might want to be increasing or decreasing your bids. And typically, people were able to do this with the daily reports in the past because we've had the access to daily reports from sponsored products for a while. It was the hourly reports that's new. But regardless of if people were actually executing on day parting through a daily level or an hourly level, the only way in which they could do that was through a third-party tool that would manually go in. I shouldn't say manually, but that would actually go in and change the bids on the keywords. So if you ever are looking at your keyword bid change history, you will see your bids actually increasing and decreasing within the bid history, which, Andrew, I think for us, we were never a big fan of day parting because it muddles the history. We so heavily rely on those history records that Amazon gives us to see, if performance started trending down over the course of a week or two. It's really nice to just look at what bid changes happened. And when you have 10,000 bids that all increased by 5% for 1 hour of the day and then decreased by 5% another hour, it really throws things off, right?
100%. That's like one of my biggest not concerns, but just like one thing I don't love about day parting is just having all that change history. It makes it much more difficult to see what change actually caused what change, and
Yep.
being able to pinpoint what those changes are actually impacting and affecting is a little bit challenging whenever you have all those so many changes happening all at the same time. So it definitely muddies the waters. It certainly needs some refinement there, but
Yeah, I would agree. And that's one thing that I do think is kind of exciting about Amazon with adding day parting into the actual ad manager itself is a couple of things. Number one, it lowers the barrier to entry. If anybody else was managing an account and they really thought they could take advantage of this concept of managing bids, but they didn't have access to a third party tool, and maybe like the cheapest tool that was affording this option was coming in at a price tag of 2 to 3% of ad spend, and maybe this individual only charges 4 to 5% of ad spend. So they're like, okay, what? I'm going to surrender 50% or more of my income just to have a tool get me like a few extra sales for a client. They wouldn't be able to do it. But with Amazon now making this available to everybody to use, we can go in and set our own day parting rules accordingly. And what I really like about it is it's not going to actually be changing the keyword bids, in the sense that you're not going to be seeing the actual values in the bid section of your keyword changing. So it's not going to be showing up in the in your history. You're not going to be seeing the bids move around and muddling everything up, your history and your change log and everything. The only thing that you're going to be seeing is the perceptible effect will be your CPCs rising and falling. Perceivable?
Yeah, perceivable effect. Yeah.
The perceivable effect. Once the camera's rolling, I like my ability to find the right word goes out the window. So
trust me, I know you're doing good. No, okay. I think this is a good point. You mentioned that the keyword bid actually doesn't change in the console, which is beautiful. And one of my biggest pain points with the using a software solution is that it does change the actual base bid inside the console and does create that history, but also most tools that I've seen, they don't allow you and they don't recognize the changes that you make in the console. So if you were ever in the console and you were like going through like just scanning accounts, finding stuff to optimize and change or needs attention, and you go in and like change some bids manually, in like an hour or two, all those bids are just going to be reverted because your day parting tool would not accept those changes from Amazon. It's not scraping and reading the changes that you made in console. It just pushes through the changes from its end that you have set. So that forces you to have to do all of your bid optimizations and all your bid changes within the third party tool. And a lot of them, in my experience, are not super user-friendly when it comes to doing bulk operations. I'd much prefer to use Amazon bulk operations than pretty much any other bulk operations tool from a third-party service provider that I've ever used. So anybody is welcome to like try to change my mind, but like I've used several, I've used tons of them, and they all suck. So
I have never seen you be this animated about anything before.
Well,
that seemed like a lot of built-up pressure that just needed to be released.
I just had to get it off my chest, man. I was complaining about it on LinkedIn one time, and I had some people reaching out like, I'm curious to see why you don't like our bulk sheets. And I'm like, have you used it? Like, I don't know. It's tough, man. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Well, all good points though. Yes. I mean, what will happen if you were using a third-party tool, and let's say you didn't want the tool to automate your bids because you watched all of our episodes on how to manage bids, and you're like, you got this in the bag. You're going to be managing things yourself through bulk sheets or whatever. And you're just like, okay, I've done the math on how day parting can help me out here. So I'll have a little day parting going on the side with this little third-party tool that's cheap and affordable. Well, when you upload your bids, when it's time for the system itself to increase or decrease the bids and push those changes through, it's going to be going based off of the bids that it last remembers. So unless if between you submitting your bid changes, the tool itself happens to sync and resync and refresh all that data, which, tools will, if you're pushing through changes from the tool to Amazon, they'll usually push things through pretty instantly. But for the tool, in order to sync the data back from Amazon, so any changes that you're making on the platform, in order for that to go back into the tool, tools are usually only syncing a few times a day. Some of them maybe sync hourly, but maybe they're only syncing like the spend data, but they're not actually syncing any changes to campaigns. Maybe those they're only rolling out like 2 times a day or 4 times a day. So yeah, you'd have to make sure that your tool syncs with the bid changes you just did before it starts day parting based off of what it thought the bids were. Otherwise, it's just going to overwrite everything you did. And I know that was a frustration that you were having, Andrew, with one account in particular. So, but yeah, this Amazon's ability to do day parting directly from within the ad console is going to be very helpful. I myself, I've never been a big fan of day parting because of the complications, but also when we rolled out day parting for some accounts, we didn't really see a ton of great results. Maybe like very minuscule, and if anything, we weren't even sure if the results were because of the day parting or if it was just seasonality. But for most accounts, I don't think you're going to see. It's not like day parting is the missing key that could unlock the door to doubling your business revenue and all that. But there is one account in particular that we've been working with that is a B2B brand. And because it's a B2B, most of their sales happen during business hours. And so we do see that over the weekends, conversion rates die, as well as after kind of normal business hours during the weekdays. But even they kind of start dying during Thursday and Friday. So for this account in particular, we saw that from around 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time from our hourly report, we saw that's kind of where the peak opportunity was in terms of conversion rates, really picking up around 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific time. And then on the daily level, we saw Tuesdays and Wednesdays were like the big buy days. Assumingly people on Mondays are bogged down with meetings. By Thursday and Friday, they're checked out for the weekend. But Tuesday, Wednesday, big opportunity. So we've now been able to implement that and realize that we should be increasing our bids from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. by X percent, and on Tuesdays, Wednesdays by X percent. And then we can globally decrease our bids because Amazon doesn't let us actually decrease the bids anywhere. We can only increase. So we kind of have to do that weird workaround where we globally decrease bids so that we can increase back up into the peak seasons with Amazon settings. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. And we'll give you a lot more information there. Anything else here, Andrew, before we wrap things up?
Remember like 20 minutes ago when we said we were done and we just ranted about day parting for like 20 minutes?
It's a warm up for the next one. The next episode will be longer, by the way. It will not be a 20-minute episode.
Yeah, it'll be longer, and I'll just rant a whole lot and complain about day parting tools. So it'll be a good time. You should check it out.
But actually, I think we do have a couple screenshots, which we were thinking of throwing up just to kind of show you guys what you can create from your day parting report. So these were actually put together by someone in our Discord by the name of Horace. And he's been a long time fan of the podcast, following us and supporting us. And we really enjoy his contribution of just sharing what he's learning and everything in our Discord. And on LinkedIn, he's only got like 90 followers. So he's a guy that you probably never would have noticed or connected with. But if you're in the Discord, you can hang out with Horace. Shout out Horace, who's I'm sure listening to this episode now. But we're going to throw up a couple of screenshots of he put these together on one of my clients' reports and was just pulling together some numbers, looking at conversion rates by hours of the day, CPC by hours of the day, spend by hours of the day, as well as by day of week, and just kind of overall performance from. Of course, we got the revenue per click in there, which is absolutely key. So we'll throw those screenshots up. That's showing you kind of what you can do with these reports, what you can create. And then next week, we'll actually start piecing some together and give you guys that whole walkthrough.
Yep, that'll be a good one. We're going to go in depth on that, show you exactly how to use that report, calculate what your bid changes should be based on the data that you're seeing. It's going to be really good. I'm excited for that one. I think a lot of people will get a lot of use out of it, especially this new feature. Everybody's kind of testing it out, trying it out. Should be a really valuable episode for everybody. But I think that's it. Let's go ahead and wrap this episode up. But first, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast, both on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Make sure you're following us on Spotify and all podcast platforms. We need some Spotify ratings right now. So if you want to help us out, if you want to just like throw us a little love, go to Spotify, give us a good rating there. Let us know if we're doing a good job.
Yeah, only if it's 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars, shoot us a message on LinkedIn and tell us what we can do to earn that 5-star review.
Ooh, Yeah, don't send that to me. Send that to Steven. And then, last thing, just want another plug for the Discord. Super awesome community that we're building, man. I'm really excited about it. We already have amazing people in there, great conversations, great learnings and insights. So jump in that Discord. There'll be a link in the description below. All right. Anything else, Steven?
That's it, guys. Peace out.
Later.